The Galactic Council was very excited. Today was a big day. Different aliens from all over the galaxy came together to show off their best warships. The Council set up this big event to display the newest military technology. Ships from everywhere arrived, each one more impressive than the last. Everyone felt proud as they showed off their new creations. Among these shiny ships, a strange vessel appeared far away. It moved slowly, like it didn't belong. The warship looked old, with faded metal and scratches all over. It was nothing like the other nice, clean ships. As it came closer, the council members couldn't help but stare. This warship seemed ancient, like something from a museum, not a show of the galaxy's best. People started to whisper, who would bring such an old, broken ship to an event like this? Some thought it was a joke. Others wondered if it came by mistake. The council members looked confused. They had never seen anything like this before. One tall alien with blue scales laughed loudly and said, "Looks like someone brought an old relic. Did they dig it out of some ancient junkyard?" Others joined in, making fun of the old warship. They thought it must belong to some simple species who didn't know any better. Maybe it's from a planet that just learned how to fly. Another alien laughed. The council members enjoyed making jokes about the mystery ship. They thought it was no threat and just there to give everyone a good laugh. But while they were busy making fun, the warship stayed quiet. It didn't send any messages or answer any calls. This made the council even more curious and a bit uneasy. Why would someone bring such an old ship here and then say nothing? It was like the ship was ignoring them, which started to annoy some council members who were used to being respected. The council decided to scan the ship to learn more about it. They wanted to see what kind of technology it had and figure out where it came from. But the scanners showed something surprising. While the ship looked ancient, it had features they couldn't understand. Strange signals came from it, signals that didn't match any known technology. It was as if this warship used secrets lost to time. The laughing began to stop as curiosity grew. What was this ship? Who built it? Some council members started to worry. If this ship was from a simple species, why couldn't they identify its technology? It should have been easy to figure out. But it wasn't. Something was wrong, and the council members could feel it. Meanwhile, hidden inside the warship, a small crew of humans watched the council's reactions. They had expected this. They knew their ship looked old, but they also knew it was much more than it seemed. The humans stayed quiet, watching and waiting for the right time to show themselves. They were here for a reason, and soon the Galactic Council would understand that this old warship was not to be underestimated. As the council members studied the ship, their excitement turned into confusion and worry. What they didn't know was that this was just the beginning. The humans had a story to tell, a story that would change how the galaxy saw them forever. But for now, the mysterious warship stayed silent, keeping its secrets hidden a little longer. The Galactic Council decided they couldn't ignore the old warship anymore. After all the jokes and laughter, they were now curious and even a bit scared. The council scientists and experts were sent to study the mystery ship. They needed to figure out where it came from and how it worked. Was it really an ancient relic, or was there something more to it? As the experts approached the ship in their small vessels, they were surprised by its size. Up close, it was much bigger than it looked from far away. It had thick armor and strange markings they couldn't identify. The ship was covered in scratches and dents, signs of old battles. But there was a feeling of power in its worn structure, like a sleeping giant waiting to wake up. The experts began their scans, expecting to find simple technology. But their equipment started acting strangely. The ship somehow blocked their scans, making their advanced technology useless. The experts looked at each other in confusion. This wasn't normal. A ship this old should be easy to read, but it was like it had its own mind, protecting its secrets. Inside the ship, the humans watched the experts with calm smiles. They knew exactly what the council was trying to do, and they had made sure their ship wouldn't give up any information easily. It was part of their plan to keep the council guessing. The longer the council was confused, the better it was for the humans. After hours of trying, the experts managed to get a few readings from the ship. What they found left them speechless. While some parts of the ship seemed ancient, others were incredibly advanced. More advanced than anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. The technology was a mix of old and new, something they couldn't understand. It was like the ship was from both the future and the past at the same time. The experts sent their findings back to the council. The members were shocked. They had expected to hear that the ship was just junk, but now they were told it had technology far beyond their own. This was becoming a serious mystery. Some council members thought the ship might be from an ancient civilization that had been forgotten. Others thought it could be a trick, some kind of joke to make them look foolish. The real shock came when they discovered some markings on the ship's surface. They were symbols and letters that the experts could finally identify. They were human markings. The Galactic Council went quiet at the news. Humans? How could this ship be connected to humans? They had always thought of humans as peaceful, simple beings, not capable of creating such a warship. Questions began to fly around the council chamber. Could it be that humans were more advanced than they had let on? Was there a hidden side to them that the council had never seen? The members didn't know what to think. They had always looked down on humans as a harmless species, but now they weren't so sure. Back on the ship, the humans watched as the council tried to make sense of what they had found. The humans knew the council was starting to put the pieces together, but they still had no idea about the full story. This ship was part of a fleet from a time when humans were warriors, protectors of the galaxy. But that was a long time ago, and the galaxy had forgotten. The council decided they needed answers. They tried to send messages to the ship, asking who was on board and what they wanted. But the ship remained silent, not giving away anything. The humans weren't ready to show themselves yet. They wanted the council to understand the ship's importance before they made their move. The Galactic Council was now on edge. This was no ordinary ship, and they had made fun of it without knowing the truth. As they waited for an answer, they couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and respect for the humans who had built this strange, powerful warship. They were about to learn that humanity's history was far more complex and dangerous than they had ever imagined, and the old warship was just the beginning of that story. The Galactic Council grew impatient. They were tired of waiting for answers from the mysterious warship. It was time to take action. The council decided to show the ship that they were in control. They ordered a group of their newest and most powerful warships to surround the old vessel. Their plan was simple: scare the ship into answering. If it was just an old relic, it would have no choice but to obey. The group moved into position, circling the warship like hunters around their prey. The council members watched with smug faces. This old ship had caused enough confusion. It was time to remind everyone who had the real power. The leader of the group sent one last message to the warship, demanding it identify itself and surrender. Still, the warship remained silent. Inside the mysterious ship, the humans watched the group move closer. They could feel the tension in the air. The Galactic Council was trying to push them, to force them to act. But the humans were ready. They knew this moment would come, and they had prepared for it. They were about to show the Council something they would never forget. Without warning, the old warship came to life. Lights turned on across its hull, and a low hum filled the air. The Council's pilots reported strange readings from their instruments. Something powerful was happening inside the ship. The Council members leaned forward in their seats, eyes wide with surprise and fear. Then it happened. A surge of energy shot out from the warship, an electric pulse that spread out in all directions. It wasn't an attack, but a display of power. The pulse hit the group's ships, and one by one, their systems began to shut down. Engines turned off, weapons stopped working, and shields dropped. The ships were left floating in space, completely disabled. Panic spread through the council chamber. They had never seen anything like this before. The warship had just stopped their best ships without firing a single shot. It was as if it had played with them, showing what it could do with just a small part of its power. The council members were stunned. They had thought they were in control, but now they realized how wrong they were. The warship stayed where it was, glowing softly like a giant beast waking from a long sleep. The group's ships were still floating, powerless and helpless. The council was speechless. This old, rusty ship had just shown them that it was far more than they had ever imagined. It was a warning, a message that they were not the ones in charge. Finally, the ship spoke. A voice came through the communication channels, calm and strong. "We are humans," it said. "This is our ship, a relic from a time when we stood as protectors of the galaxy. We did not come here to fight, but to remind you of who we are." The council members listened in stunned silence. They had made fun of the ship, laughed at it, and now they were learning the truth. This was a human warship, not some ancient relic, but a piece of history that held incredible power. The humans had chosen to show themselves, to show that they were not to be underestimated. The humans continued, "We are not your enemies, but we will not be disrespected. This ship is a reminder of what we once were and what we can still be if provoked." The voice was firm but not threatening. It was a simple truth that the council could not ignore. The Galactic Council members looked at each other nervously. They had misjudged the humans, seeing them as a weak and peaceful race. But now they understood that there was much more to humanity than they had ever known. The power within that old warship was proof of a past where humans were warriors, capable of incredible strength. The warship's lights dimmed, and the group's ships slowly regained power. The council realized that the humans had given them a choice. They could continue to make fun of and underestimate humans, or they could choose to respect and learn from them. The decision was theirs, but the humans had made it clear they were not to be taken lightly. As the council sat in silence, thinking about what they had just seen, the warship remained in place, a silent guardian of a forgotten past. The humans had shown their power, not because they wanted to conquer, but to remind the galaxy of who they truly were. And now the Galactic Council had to decide how they would respond. The Galactic Council members were shaken. The warship's display of power left them with more questions than answers. They realized they had no idea what humans were truly capable of. Determined to uncover the truth, the Council decided to dig deeper into humanity's past. They needed to understand what kind of species could build such a powerful ship. The Council's historians and researchers worked day and night, searching through ancient records and forgotten files. What they found surprised them. Humans had once been a great power in the galaxy, known not just for their technology, but also for their fierce determination. They were warriors, explorers, and protectors who had stood against threats that would have destroyed weaker species. The humans had a history of facing impossible odds and winning. They had fought against invaders, survived natural disasters, and even stood up to evil empires. It was as if they grew stronger with each challenge they faced. The Council realized that the humans they had made fun of were the descendants of these legendary warriors. But then the records showed something strange. About 1,000 years ago, the humans had suddenly pulled back. They had returned to their home planet, cutting off contact with the rest of the galaxy. The Council found reports of a massive war, one that had left the galaxy in chaos. After that war, the humans had simply disappeared from the galactic scene. The Council members were puzzled. Why would a species as strong as humans just disappear? It didn't make sense. They looked deeper and found hints of a reason. The war had hurt humanity badly. They had lost countless lives, and their worlds were left in ruins. It was a war that had changed them, made them realize the cost of constant fighting. The humans had made a choice. They decided to step back, to become peaceful and avoid war. They wanted to rebuild and heal from the scars of their past. The Council now understood why the humans they knew seemed so different from the legends. They had chosen peace over power, a path that many in the galaxy could not understand. As the Council uncovered more of the truth, the humans on the warship watched quietly. They knew what the Council would find, and they wanted them to see it. The warship was not just a weapon. It was a symbol of the past, a reminder of what humans were capable of when pushed to their limits. The Council was now faced with a problem. They had made fun of and underestimated a species that had once been a beacon of strength in the galaxy. They realized that the humans had not changed because they were weak, but because they were wise. They had learned the cost of power and had chosen a different path. But the warship's appearance had shaken that peaceful image. The Council wondered why the humans had brought such a powerful relic back into the galaxy. Were they preparing for another war? Or was this just a warning? The Council needed answers, and they needed them now. The humans finally agreed to meet with the Council. They wanted to explain their actions. When the meeting began, the human representative was calm and sure of himself. He explained that the warship was a reminder. not just to the galaxy, but to themselves. It was a reminder of what they had been and what they could become again if necessary. "We do not seek war," the humans said, "but we are not afraid of it either. We have chosen peace, but we are always ready to defend ourselves and those who cannot defend themselves. This ship is a symbol of that readiness. It is a piece of our history, a history we do not wish to repeat, but we are not ashamed of it either." The council members listened carefully. They could see the truth in the humans' words. This was not about power or control. It was about remembrance and caution. The humans wanted the galaxy to know that while they wanted peace, they were not to be taken lightly. The human continued, "We showed you the power of this ship not to scare you, but to remind you of who we are. We are protectors, warriors when needed, and we stand by our choice to live in peace. But we will not be made fun of or pushed aside. We are here, and we are watching." The council had no choice but to respect the humans' position. They now understood that this old warship was more than just a relic. It was a message, a declaration that humanity was still strong and would remain so. The council knew they had to change how they saw humans, not as weaklings to be mocked, but as a force to be respected. The truth about humans was clear now. They were a species that had chosen peace after a long history of war, but within them was still the spirit of warriors, ready to rise if the need ever came. The warship, once a subject of jokes, was now a symbol of the humans' true nature, and the Galactic Council would never forget that lesson. After the meeting with the humans, the Galactic Council members felt a deep sense of respect mixed with unease. They had learned more about humans in a few days than they had in centuries. The old warship was no longer just a mystery. It was a symbol of a powerful legacy. The council had made fun of it only to discover its true purpose, a warning and a reminder of humanity's strength and resolve. The council held a final meeting to discuss what they had learned. For the first time in a long while, the chamber was filled with a serious, thoughtful atmosphere. The laughter and jokes about the rusty old ship were gone, replaced by a deep understanding. The humans had shown them a glimpse of their past and their possible future. Now the council needed to decide how to move forward. Some members suggested keeping a close watch on the humans, fearing that the return of the warship meant they were preparing for conflict. Others argued that the humans had proven their commitment to peace and that the warship was merely a precaution. They debated long into the night, weighing the risks and rewards of this new knowledge. Finally, the head of the council, a wise and experienced leader, spoke up. "We have learned an important lesson," she said. "The humans are not to be underestimated, but they have shown us no reason to fear them. Instead, they have reminded us of the value of strength used wisely. We must not provoke them, nor should we ignore their message." She continued, "We made fun of what we did not understand, and now we see our mistake. The humans have given us a chance to change our ways, to build a relationship based on respect rather than arrogance. We should take this opportunity to learn from them and to ensure that history does not repeat itself." The council members nodded in agreement. They realized that they had been too quick to judge, too eager to dismiss the humans as a weak and unimportant species. Now they understood that the human strength lay not just in their technology or their warships, but in their ability to choose peace even when they had the power to wage war. A message was sent to the humans expressing the council's new understanding and their desire to establish a more respectful relationship. They admitted their previous arrogance and offered an apology for their mockery. They also invited the humans to talk more, hoping to learn about humanity's history and values. The humans responded with a simple but meaningful message. "We accept your apology," they said. "Let this be the start of a new chapter, one where we can work together to ensure peace and mutual respect. Our warship will remain as a symbol, but we hope it will never need to be used for anything other than a reminder." With that, the humans turned off the warship systems, leaving it in a quiet state. It remained in orbit, a silent guardian watching over the galaxy. The council members knew it was still there, a constant presence that would remind them of the lesson they had learned. The humans had shown mercy and wisdom, choosing to teach rather than punish. Over time, the relationship between the Galactic Council and the humans began to change. The two sides engaged in open discussions, sharing knowledge and learning from each other. The council members came to admire the human strength and their ability to balance power with compassion. They realized that the humans' choice to embrace peace was not a sign of weakness, but of great inner strength. As the years passed, the warship became a symbol not of fear, but of hope. It stood as a reminder that even the mightiest warriors could choose a path of peace. The council and the humans worked together to maintain harmony in the galaxy, using the lessons of the past to guide them toward a better future. The Galactic Council no longer made fun of the humans. Instead, they spoke of them with respect and admiration. They had come to understand that the true power of humanity lay not in their weapons or their ships, but in their ability to choose a different path. The warship, once a source of ridicule, had become a symbol of the human spirit. And so the galaxy entered a new era, one where the lessons of the past shaped the promise of the future. The humans remained watchful, their old warship standing as a quiet guardian. The Galactic Council had learned to see them not as a threat, but as partners in the search for peace. It was a new understanding, one built on the recognition that sometimes the greatest power of all is the strength to choose peace.